Hi, this is Anthony from West Coast Custom Concrete. I'm in Mission Viejo, California today. This video will be on a J ditch. Here's the J ditch here. Patrick from Green Tex, the landscape company who subbed this J ditch to me. This is a J ditch. There's V ditches, whatever shape they are. That's what they call it by. All the water is coming off the hill, running into these people's backyards for about 20 years. So the county made the homeowners association put a J ditch in, and then 60 I got to do 60 feet of curb and gutter out front in the city sidewalk and put a steel storm drain in it. Here we are. Here's me and Milton and his son setting it up. We had it surveyed, and the surveyors put the elevations for the outside of it, so we had the elevations. And then the inside behind me, right there's you just stack it up on top of the wall as high up to the top, and they had us put wire mesh in there. And then everyone kept asking me how I'm going to get the shape and the width against that wall behind Javier there. And what we did is, you'll see it coming up. We made a template and put handles on it, and we rotted it and screeded it with the template. We had the elevations here though, and then for the width, to get the width of the J ditch in the back, we pounded pieces of rebar into the hill, and then we at our width, so I knew right where to pump it. And we're just getting elevations here. West Coast is doing it. It's dead on. So we're just forming this up. It's a couple hundred feet of J ditch. It was dug out pretty quick. We formed it up in a day, put all the wire in, had it all set up, and then we poured it. And I had to pour this thing immediately because there was about a week and a half rainstorm coming. So once this is opened up, if I didn't get it poured, I mean, this thing is just, who knows when we're going to get it done. So we had to get it set up and get it inspected like as quick as we could. We had to get a soils compaction test. Here's the template we made here. That's exact width of the plans of the J ditch, because there's no way to get the dimensions of it by forming it up. In the back of it, you can't form it up. There's no way to strip it. Plus, where he's standing, you have to have the elevations right too. So we're going to cut pieces of rebar. We're going to put them into the hill. Milton's pounding them in here, and we're going to use a template. We're going to get our exact width. So when we screed and rot it, we know exactly how to put up on the hill. And we're just going to hand float it and shape it. We're just digging this down. We had to get an elevation inspection and a compaction inspection on it. That bin was there when we got there from when they were digging it. So we're soaking this down. We got an inspection on it. We're going to re-whack it. We're going to put the wire in, the wire mesh. Keep whacking it down. It went fairly quick. Like I was saying, it's a couple hundred feet. Here I am checking it out. We throw the smart level on all elevations. Here's my buddy Jefferson. This kid's a hard worker. So here's how the plan said. They wanted us to put wire mesh against this hill here, and everybody kept asking me, how are you going to get it on that hill? Here's an inspector. We're going over all elevations. Javier was supposed to be here that day, and he had both the lasers in his truck, so we had a little issue with that, but we had all elevations right. And everyone's asking me, most companies would shotcrete this. They wouldn't even attempt to pump this, but they're not West Coast. So what I do is I just bring my own pump, and I'll pump it at a stiff 3, and I'll stack it on that wall, and they'll freehand float it. So we're going to set all the hose up. I'm running a couple 25s at 2.5, and the rest is 2-inch. And I just stake into the hill so it won't surge down the hill. And then when we turn the hose around, I'll just move the hose down the hill and keep walking it down. I strung about 4 of these together in the street, so I didn't have to clamp it up on that hillside because it's kind of steep, and we just drag them back there because I already wheeled it with a wheeler. I know exactly how long it is, so I know how much hose to put out. And we're going to nail that down, that reducer down to in the handle. We're going to stick it to the mountain with a stake so it won't move, because it'll surge down the hill, and you'll constantly be dragging that hose back up the hill. So I'm clamping all this up. Here's my pump, 545 Olin. Most guys wouldn't go near this with a 565 or a 545. I'm doing it with a smaller Olin. They'd shotcrete this V-ditch. I pumped it. The plans called for 2,500 PSI. I use the 3,000. I don't really like 25. It's not creamy enough. I can pump it better with a 3,000. And I've done miles of V-ditches and J-ditches. But a lot of people weren't sure how to go about this, how to do this in the way that I did it. Most people wouldn't have figured this out. They would have shotcreted it. Well, you see, we're going to pour it right here. That bin was right in our way, of course, but I mean, it's raining the next day, so I'm getting this thing done to that day. I just prime it out with water, and I'm just going to turn the pump down. I prime it out pretty fast, and I slow the pump down. I got it about as slow as I can pump it, so I can just stack it up on this wall. We're just going to hand float it and use the template on it. And I think that's Milton there pulling the wire out so we can get behind it. I just stack it down this whole thing, and then they shape it up. I got, I think, 5 full-fledged finishers with me. I got about 225 feet of hose out, and I'm pumping it mainly with 2-inch. So we're just going to stack it up on that wall. This is a stiff 3. I pumped this out. There's not many people that would even attempt that. So we're continually here just pumping it down. I got to do 60 feet of curb and gutter in the sidewalk out front, but I'm putting in a steel drain, and I ordered it from Alhambra, and it takes like 3 weeks to get it. So I'll probably have that video in a couple of weeks, the curb and gutter in the sidewalk. I'm just holding the hose for Javier here. He loves pumping concrete. It's hard to get the hose out of his hand. So we're just stacking it all the way up there. That was the highest up there where they wanted it. And this template was just beautiful. That's exactly the shape of the J-ditch off the plans. We just did the math, drew that out, cut it out, and use that as a template through the whole thing, and you can't miss. It's perfect. There's a stiff 3 for you. All the haters that say it's not a 4 or 5, what's that? Here you go. That's my width right there, that rebar, so I know exactly how thick it has to be by code. The rebar I tied sideways, perpendicular to the hillside. Now we're laying it down. We're going to start shaping it out back here. We're just hitting it and floating it out and getting it shaped. Then we'll drill it with a steel trowel, cut joints in it, and broom it. That's what the plans wanted. So I'm just having fun here pumping this down. We've almost pumped all the way out. I just went the load and cut it off because I didn't want to open the curb and gutter out and demo it because I knew it was going to rain. And I'm not getting the drain for another couple of weeks. It's a big steel drain. And it has to be the exact. It can't be a 1/4 inch off. It has to be exact. So Alhambra is making it for me right now. When I get it, you'll see the curb and gutter video. And these poles, we got to cut them down and fill them with concrete and then cone the top of them. That's what the county wanted. And we got a guy going ahead of him with a template and then the guy behind him, so you're not dragging so much in there. Like this went really fast. We laid this whole load down in probably 30 minutes. I just had the pump down, turned down as slow as it could go so it wouldn't run off the hill where I stacked it up there. Everyone was asking me how I was going to do it, the county guys and stuff, and now they can see how I did it. I think I got 1, 2, 3. I got 5 finishers on here. And here we are pounding the joints in. On the plans, it specifically said where to put them, so we had them all marked. We didn't have to do any of the guesswork or where we thought they could go. We're just doing whatever they wanted us to do. And this came out, as usual, perfect. Now we got Milton broom in it. We called for a broom up on that all the way across. As usual, I had a A+ crew on it with me. The next one I do, you'll see from this area, will be the curb and gutter and the sidewalk. And that's why that's the best in the West. That's 220 feet of J-ditch. Here it is here. Checking it out. Came out really nice. There it is there. Thank you very much for watching the best in the West.